One of the things I've been thinking about a lot during this time of lockdown is how God is present to us when we can sometimes feel He's absent. I was reminded of this powerfully as I sat in my garden early on Easter morning and read about Mary Magdalene standing in the garden weeping at the empty tomb. We're told that Jesus was absent, He was gone. Or was He? For as Mary watched and wept, He appeared there, not inside the tomb, but just outside of it. He was present, even in the midst of his apparent absence. How can we understand either the absence or presence of Jesus when we say that we believe Jesus, as fully God and fully human, is present at all times and in all places? His body was absent from the tomb when Mary came there. And although we also say that the Spirit had not yet come, it surely isn't possible for the Spirit to ever actually be absent too. For the Spirit was pre-existent and is co-eternal within the ordering of the Holy Trinity, that great unseen power, which also we say is present at all times and in all places, though largely unnoticed and unrecognized. The simple answer to whether Jesus is present and absent at the same time is that Jesus is never actually absent, even though we cannot see him, because he is present in a spiritual form. The absence of God, then, can only ever be in our perceptions and cannot ever be a reality. The fact that Jesus was risen from the dead and his physical body was absent from the tomb, yet then presented himself in various ways to many hundreds of people, is testimony surely to the great power of the Holy Spirit. For many people in our culture, I think that God usually has little or no invited active presence in their lives. We've always known, though, that in a crisis people often turn to prayer, or they ask someone, often their vicar, to pray for them. "Say one for me, please," is a phrase I often hear. Interestingly, what we're seeing in this present time of lockdown is that more people than ever are seemingly turning to prayer. They're acknowledging that in some way they must believe God to be real after all, and even possibly, potentially, to be an active agent in the world. Perhaps, after all, able to influence situations and make some changes in the current crisis we all find ourselves living in. Their perceived belief of a God who is and has been absent and silent to them is suddenly being recognized as something quite different, present, available, active, powerful even. And all of this, of course, we can encourage, and perhaps it gives us a greater confidence to talk about God and talk about prayer with other people when we might have shied away from that previously. Over the past year or so, I've sometimes spoken about one of the clematis in my back garden, once looking very dead, and having pulled out its remaining debris and thrown it away. I was amazed last summer to see it springing back into life. Once absent, it showed its presence. This year, I decided to move it to another place in the garden, and on pulling it out, discovered a strongly developed yet hidden bundle of roots. It is alive and present, and thriving well now against a different piece of fence. Even when we can't see something, it may still be there, and perhaps this is an easier message to offer to others, that even if they still, after all we are living through, think that God is absent, we know that he is present and alive and active.